gamers all around the universe. Today we're making a Malians guide. I have already made the Ottomans guide. We're going to be checking out Malians right now. I have been playing for the past week quite a bit with Malians and Ottomans, and right now this is probably the build that is the most common and the most used. There are different variations of it. There are different things that people are trying out. You know, it's probably going to change. Like I said, for the Ottomans, the same thing. By the time the 2 new civs get released, I'm assuming that the builds will change. Maybe there's going to be some balance changes. But if you're playing poop on the beta right now, you know, this is a build you can use and test Malians and kind of get a little bit more efficient with your build order. I'm gonna also go through their like bonuses and landmarks and kind of give you an overview on that. And once they're released, we're gonna do the same video I'm doing for other civs, kind of like everything you need to know about Malians and kind of really go into detail. But for now, we'll try to focus on build order more. So they're very unique, and they start off very unique. No civ does this. I guess Rus starts with 2 villagers on wood. You want to be sending 4 villagers on wood with Malians. 2 will, you can just build a lumber camp with 4. It's fine. But important is 4 villagers on wood, and then you're going to rally the villagers on food. Now, you can see this little thing that I'm doing here. I'm rallying workers here and then on sheep. That is because there's a bug right now on beta where if you rally workers here, they will spawn there and they're gonna go all around. So that's why I'm doing that. You don't need to do that every game unless you're getting the same thing. Basically what I do is I just select the TC, click it here, and then shift it onto the sheep, and it kind of prevents that bug, I guess. So why do we have 4 on wood? Well, we want to build up our gold income, and once we're 9 out of 10, the next villager that comes out, so not right now, the next one that comes out of a TC, it will be rallied directly onto the gold. Don't be worried, you're gonna get supply blocked, but in AoE 4, the unit still produces while you're supply blocked. So right now, we're pop capped at 10, but the villager is still producing, and you're gonna instantly queue up a house next to your gold mine in the corner like this, so they're touching at the edges. Now, one thing to note is Malians build houses in 7 seconds, and they cost 25 wood, sorry, and they also increase the population by 5. So they don't give 10 population like every other civ. They only increase it by 5. So why am I building a house here specifically next to gold? It's because Malians have the pit mine, which is basically like Uvu for Mongols, but this is Uvu for gold. And one thing to note, which is very important, the pit mine never expires. So this goes on forever. Uvus for Mongols expire, and then you gotta build new ones. These ones never ever expire, and you can mine gold while you're having the pit mine on the gold vein. So if I have a pit mine here and I mine gold and I mine out the gold completely, the pit mine will still be working. Okay, this is a very important thing to note. So you can mine out the gold and the pit mine will still be extracting gold. Okay, and one important thing to also note is the pit mine will not reduce the amount of gold in the gold vein. So if I start collecting with pit mine, it will not go down from 4,000. 4,000 is only for when the villagers are mining. Another thing to know about pit mines is you can have 1 per age. So for you can have 4 total, and they give 90 gold a minute. The small ones, and the big ones give 120 gold a minute passively. Why am I building houses? Well, there's a bonus for the pit mine that says the gold extraction rate of open pit mines is increased by 25% for each house or mining camp built within the influence. So this is why this villager is going to build a house here. And you can see I have 175 wood. I'm going to build a pit mine. You can see the house is being built really fast. And you're going to keep these 4 guys on wood pretty much whole game. Like, these guys are not moving. Like, they're lumberjacks for the rest of the game. And I'm still gonna rally, I'm gonna rally all my other workers onto the food now to try to age up to feudal, and we will not be mining any gold. Alright, we're getting the pit mine because we want to get our gold income started. And what we're gonna do with this worker was we're actually gonna build houses all around the pit mine, and then eventually we're going to build a mining camp so that we can eventually mine the gold here, right? And you can see the influence. You have to build right next to it, like you can't build like here, right? You have to build right next to it. And right now it's 13 gold per minute, but because I'm constantly adding houses, this will go up to 90 gold a minute, which is equal to 2.2 villagers. If 2.2 villagers were mining gold, that's how much income you're getting a minute. You can see it's increasing 22, 32 a minute, and we're gonna just use this wood that these guys are chopping to build houses. And you might be wondering, like, why do we need that much gold? You know, why can't we just mine? Isn't it faster? It's not. Technically, it is faster. You could be potentially aging up in about 10-15 seconds with Malians. The difference is, look at this pit mine and the tents, houses I'm building around it, like economy boom. So I'm not building extra villagers, but actually I am, because this pit mine is giving me free income, and it's kind of like early booming. So in this part of the game, you are, in theory, already ahead on economy, because once I build all these houses, I'm going to have extra 2.2 villagers compared to the other civs, right? That's giving me passive income, and I've also built up the houses. So that's how you should look at it. And even though you can get faster age up if you just went, you know, normal food and gold build, this will, you know, they're kind of like the earlier you get it, the more value you're going to get. And you are going to need gold, so might as well do it now. You're going to need houses as well, so why not do it? Here we go. So I'm going to build a house and build a mining camp in the end. You're always going to have this awkward one spot that you can't build on, just so you know. And once the mining camp is built, this little guy is just gonna go back to food. Another thing you can do, by the way, that I just realized, it's a mistake that I made. You can't just queue up this guy to build a mill right now and just leave him on berries. The reason why you want to build a mill, because I will be getting wheelbarrow shortly after. So, you know, you can just remember, like, one guy builds everything. You know, builds the house, builds the pit mine, builds the other houses, mining camp, mill, and then just leave him there. So, right now you can see gold per minute is increasing. It takes a little bit to kind of like fully kick in. And you can see I already have 200 gold, and I haven't mined any gold whatsoever. This is just passive gold income. So, now with the 4 on wood and 11 on food, I'm going to age up to Feudal. And again, these guys are staying here because there's no reason for me to pull them here to get like 5 seconds extra Feudal and then lose out on a bunch of wood income. And we're going to age up. So let's talk about Feudal landmarks. Feudal landmarks, there are 2. One is for trading, so potentially you can use it in team games, and the way it works is like it's like a tower toll gate thing. And basically, every time your traders pass next to it, you get bonus gold based on the amount of the total resources you're returning to the market. So again, this is a landmark. In theory, it's cool, but in one-on-ones, it's probably not going to work out too great. So that's something you can use for team games, or something you can try for team games. But most of the time, you will be going for this landmark, which is Mansa Quarry. And what this landmark gives is generates 75 gold per minute or stone. So 75 gold or stone per minute. We're going to be building it with 4 workers. We're going to leave 4 on food. And we're going to pull the workers from food onto the lumber. See, this mill that I could have built earlier, I'm building it now. One thing to note is, even though I left 4 here, you do want to have another villager on the berries that built the mill from earlier. And the reason for that is you want to have 5 on food, because once you age up, you do want to make some units, okay? So if you have 4 on food, you will only support enough for villager production. If you have 5 on food, you will be able to once you hit Feudal to make a unit or two, whether it's stables, archer ranges, or spearmen. So once I have 8 on wood, I'm gonna start rallying workers to stone. And when these guys finish building this landmark, they're also going to join on the stone. And yes, as you can see, I'm going to be teaching you 2 TC build. As the gold trickle is coming in hot, you can see I'm almost at the berries. I done goofed here, as you can see. You want to be getting wheelbarrow because again, it's free gold income, so why not get it, right? There's no reason not to. So yeah, again, I messed up. You should have 5 on food here. I have 4, but it's gonna work out in the end, and you'll see why and how. So, once we age up, I'm just rallying onto the stone. I'm gathering the extra eco, and once we finish aging up, now only do this if you're confident you're gonna be able to change it back. Okay. So, when you age up, you want to switch this to stone because it will generate like 35, 40 stone. So you don't need to mine that extra stone. So it saves you a couple of seconds. If you don't want to bother with this, just leave it on gold and don't touch it, okay? But if you're confident you can switch it to stone and then back to gold after, then do so. So these workers are going on the stone, and from here on out, the moment the age up finishes, I'm going to be rallying onto the food. And what you want to do is add a production building. Now, if you're playing against non-knight civs, you can add stables once you reach into the feudal. Why stables? I'm about to tell you in a second when the stable does finish. If you're playing against knight civs, you can add barracks even before feudal completes because you'll have 150 wood. You can see I'm on 200 wood right now and I just spent 150. So you will have enough wood to build a barracks. And if you're playing against knight civs, make sure you build spearmen so you can defend. If you're playing against French or Rus and you see their stables, then just build a couple of spearmen to be able to defend the knights. If you're not playing against them, you can go with stables and you can harass your opponent a little bit as I'm slowly gathering this stone for an extra TC. Speed it up. Workers are still being rallied onto their food here, and I'm slowly building up my food count so I can produce units out of here. Boom. So, these are the units that Malians have in stables. One is Sofa, and Sofa is a mix of horseman and a knight. It has more armor than horseman, less than a knight. It has more damage than horseman, less than a knight. It has more health than horseman, less than a knight. And also, it costs more than a horseman, but less than a knight. So it's literally a unit between those two. So when do you build Sofas in general? You build Sofas, in my opinion, against civs that don't have knights, because if you're playing against French, you don't want to be making Sofas because they will lose to French knights. But if you're playing against Abbasid that has horsemen, you can go Sofas because your Sofas will beat out the horsemen. So that's kind of the guide for Sofas, and they have some cool upgrades later to increase their armor and stuff, to upgrade them to veteran. And they also have an upgrade that increases the movement speed of your infantry. So it's not a bad idea to have a like Sofa playstyle together with archers or javelin throwers. I'm just saying don't expect that Sofa is going to beat a French knight or a Rus knight. It will lose to it. Now, the reason why we open fast stable, you can open Sofa, by the way, and nothing wrong with that. So if you're playing against Abbasid right now or French or something, you could open Sofa and kind of do a little bit of a knight harassment, if you will. But the more preferred opening right now is going for scouts because they don't have horsemen, as you can see. So they got Sofa, that's between knight and a horseman, and they don't have a second unit, but they can produce scouts. And scouts is something that every civ can produce. But Malians are the first civ to have upgrades for their scouts. So this is something that's very, very important to realize because these scouts are really, really good. So these are normal scouts. Their scouts cost 90 food. And once you upgrade them, they will get different, they will get more damage. So if I find my scout right here, I'm going to select it. You'll see when I start the upgrade, I'll show you guys. And once I collected enough stone, I'm going to make the TC on the deer pack, which is usually where you want to be placing your TC. Yeah, Malians got more expensive scouts. It cost 90 food. So, I got another scout out. Right now, they got 1 damage, 10 versus, plus 10 versus scout, plus 10 versus siege. And when the upgrade finishes, which you're about to see in a second, the scouts don't get any HP, they don't get any armor, but their damage is now 7. So what's the cool thing about this? Well, they're basically like horsemen now. You're gonna use them, you would use them in the same way as horsemen. So now I can go to my opponent's base. They have the same movement speed as horsemen. I can go to my opponent's base, I can harass at the gold, I can harass at the stone. You can kill their scouts like this, by the way, because they have higher movement speed now as well. So their scouts can't run away, which is also pretty funny. So sometimes I win my games, I would have my opponent to run my base with their scout. And once I upgrade mine, I just kill their scouts in like, you know, you just chase them down and you kill them. So this is a very cool opening that's been coming out recently, where you just use these as horsemen and you can make as little as 3 and you can make as many as 10 if you want. It's completely up to you. Obviously these guys are not going to beat spearmen, they're not going to, you know, beat masses of archers, they're not going to beat longbows, they're not going to beat men-at-arms, but they are fast as hell, they're cheap, they're only 90 food, and they are meant to just harass. And you'll also have actual scouts on the map that if you spot a villager, it's not going to be like hitting it with a wet noodle. You can actually just kill villagers because they do 7 damage. So they're very, very cool. Once you upgrade them again, I can't remember exactly what they get, but I think they get more damage, and they actually get like health or armor or something. I can't remember, but they get even better. So they scale up. And in Imperial, these scouts have 11 damage, and they get plus 11 versus ranged units. So in Imperial, these scouts have damage against siege bonus, damage against other scout bonus, and they get 11 damage bonus against ranged units. So they're actually a viable unit to mass in Imperial in order to counter the opponent ranged units, same like horsemen. So again, you do this, you open, you harass, you see what the opponent is doing, and your second production building can be whatever, you know, you're facing to counter. So if I'm facing horsemen, I kind of need to build, you know, actually you don't need to build barracks. If you're facing horsemen, you can go for sofas, okay? And just kind of counter the horsemen that way. You're obviously going to need some workers on gold, because you won't be able to fully support making sofas out of 2-3 stables without gold mining. If you are playing against spearmen, then the next building you want to make is archer range and start getting archers. And then you can go either into spear archer, spear javelin thrower, or you can just go with like sofa archer comp and play basically like a knight civ. You're going to play sofas to counter everything that is in feudal except spearmen, and then you play archers to counter the enemy spearmen. So that unit comp that you go for is completely dependent on you. I have tried sofa archer, it worked out great. I've tried spearman javelin thrower, it worked out great. So whatever you prefer, go with that. I even tried scout plus archer, and that worked out as well. So what do we do from here on out? This is completely up to you. So I said this in the Ottoman guide as well. If you want to age up to castle, then rally 1 TC onto the gold, like this one. Or actually, no, rally both TCs onto the food, sorry. And you can build another gold pit to get that passive gold income and to propel you into the castle, right? If you want to play aggressive in feudal, like if you want to stay in feudal and mass units and stuff like that, then you should put 1 TC onto the wood, 1 TC onto the food, and just add more production buildings, get blacksmiths, start getting eco upgrades, because you have this passive gold income that you don't need to mine, and that's going to basically pay for all your upgrades while you're massing your units. If you do decide to go for javelin throwers or sofas, they both cost gold, so you are going to need some gold income for them. But if you're going for like archers or scouts, or not as many sofas, or going for spears, obviously you're not going to need a lot of gold. Now, because we're in Feudal, what I would suggest is, depending on the situation in the game, you can add another gold pit to get extra passive gold and build more houses around it. So in this game, when I played, if you look at my vision, I actually didn't know there's a gold here. And because I hosted against an AI, I thought the map bugged and it has, or there's no AI. So I thought I just didn't get a second gold mine. So I went all the way out on the map to make a gold mine, even though I had a gold mine right here that I later scouted. So you're not supposed to go out on the map to make the second gold pit. Just make it whichever gold place is the closest. And once you make it, you make houses around it, alright? Another really cool mechanic, especially if you are floating a lot of gold, or if you want to further boost your economy, whether you are going to castle or whether you're fighting in Feudal. This is something that a lot of Malian players are doing right now. You have a building called cattle ranch, and what it does is each cattle you put in the ranch, you get 28 food per minute. Now this might not sound like a lot, because one villager gathers 40 food a minute without upgrades. So this might not sound like a lot, but this is the kicker, okay? The cattle costs no supply, which I'm assuming is going to get nerfed to at least cost half supply or something, because you get the passive gold, and then the cattle can give you passive food income that goes up to 560 maximum, and it can go above 1k food per minute with another landmark from Castle Age. So whenever you have extra gold, or you can continuously produce, just produce cattle out of your mills. They cost 100 gold, they take 15 seconds to make, and once they're made, put them in these cattle ranches and they will start gathering food for you. Now, why is this good? Well, technically you're on 2 TC. So the strength of Malians is, if I'm going for donzos, which are their spearmen, and javelin throwers, which are their anti-archer unit, or if I go for archers, you are able to produce that and mass that with 2 TCs, but at the same time, you can produce cattle, which is technically, it's not a 3rd TC, but it kind of is, because by producing these cattle and these ranches, you're basically producing more income, so you're booming even harder. And this is really, really good thing about Malians. And again, they cost no supply, which is crazy. So you can use one worker, and if you're rallying workers onto the wood and food, you can use one worker and slowly build up these cattle ranches, and then put the cattle inside, and they will start collecting your food. You can also gather them. They have 500 food, but I would definitely suggest to, if you're not in a hurry, like if you still have sheep, just put them in the ranches, and they will start collecting the passive food income for you, which is pretty crazy. And once the second pit mine is done, you're also gonna get like 180 gold per minute passively. So that's 2 cattle you can produce for free, right? Without any mining. And you can kind of just continuously not only produce villagers, but also produce cattle, and like I said, gain economic advantage against your opponent. Now, regarding unit comps, like I said, if you're playing against Night Civs, you go Donzos, which are spearmen. They also have they can also throw a spear every 20 seconds, deal bonus damage versus cavalry, so they're very cool units and very nice. They cost 60 food, 30 wood. You can go for Donzos, and then the enemy will make archers, which in that case you make javelin throwers. If you don't know what javelin throwers are, they're made in archer ranges. They're not archers. And they have 3 ranged armor, and they're specializing in killing ranged units. So you basically want to use your donzos to protect javelin throwers from cavalry, and you use javelin throwers to protect donzos from archers. So you want to kind of do a lot of target firing. Another unit comp is, like I mentioned earlier, you can go sofas plus archers, you can go scouts plus archers, you can go sofas or scouts plus donzos, kind of like Abbasid, horseman, spear kind of thing. That is up to you. Test all of them and see which one you like. Musafati warriors are the second unit in the barracks, and right now they're a little bit undertuned, I feel like. Musafati warriors are supposed to counter they're supposed to be anti-armored units like men-at-arm and knights. The problem is knights just beat them pretty hard, because while they're doing damage to knights and they're trading efficiently resource per resource, one knight will demolish Musafati warrior, and while they're doing a lot of damage to armor targets, their HP is like 85, I think, and they have no armor. So they're doing a lot of damage, but they're also taking a lot of damage. So that's something to consider. And they don't have crossbows in archer ranges. They also have normal archers, which obviously are good to kill spearmen or any units that don't have a lot of ranged armor. And in castle, they get poison arrows, which makes their archers do bonus 3 damage over 6 seconds. So it's basically like 1 damage every 2 seconds, right? 0.5 damage per second. But this poison stacks. So if 30 archers shoot at a knight, you will see the knight gets debuff a lot of poisons and their health kind of melts. So one thing to note is Malians don't have armored units at all. So they don't have men-at-arms, they don't have knights. Technically they got sofas, but they don't have knights. And they don't have crossbows or actual knights. So if you want to deal with enemy knights, you have to make spearmen or Musafati warriors. You can, again, there's no crossbows. And if you want to deal with men-at-arms, you need to make Musafati warriors or archers. Because archers have the poison, but archers don't really counter men-at-arms, but they are way better at dealing with the men-at-arms than other civs. Like if you play any other civ, archers are complete trash against men-at-arms, but Malian archers are actually not bad because of the poison. They're not that terrible. Right, you can make sofas against men-at-arms as well. And javelin throwers have high base damage, but they are used as anti-ranged unit. And they will most likely receive some kind of nerf, because I feel like right now they just do too much base damage, and you can kind of just kill knights with javelin throwers if you have enough, which is kind of crazy. So, and at the end they have their own version of hand cannoneer that can go stealth. Stealth ability, very underwhelming actually. I thought it would be like OP or something. It's not used at all, to be honest. So maybe they're going to change that in the future. Who knows? So now let's talk about other landmarks that exist in the game. Now that I've talked through everything, remember to build your pit mines every age up. If you build it on the big gold vein, you have more space for houses, so you will go up to 120 gold per minute. There's 2 different playstyles in Castle. There's 2 different landmarks. So the first landmark is Grand Fulani Coral, which nearby cattle provide 20 food per minute. So you can only make 20 cattle, which is equivalent to 7 ranches. And once you have 20 cattle, you gain, I think it's 260 food per minute. If you decide to go with this landmark, you will go up to 960 food per minute for free. Okay, no supply. Yes, you have to use gold, which you're getting passively. Yes, you have to use wood to build the thing. But you're getting basically 960 food per minute for the rest of the game. They don't expire. You don't gotta rebuild them. Nothing. You get them forever. So that's one way. And this is what I like to call, like, you can play Malians food-based or gold-based. Now, the other side of Malians is if you go for Farimba Garrison. What is this landmark? Well, it acts as the old burger palace that produces 5 units at a time, but it only costs gold So unit cost is converted to gold and reduced by 20%. So if you would age up with Farimba Garrison, all your units there, Musafari Warriors, Donzos, Archers, Javelin Throwers, they cost only gold, but they cost like, I don't know the exact prices, but let's say 5 Archers are 350 gold or something like that. So if you do choose that landmark, you have to basically pool almost all your villagers, not almost all, but if I were to reach castle, I would have like 10 on food, maybe 15 on food plus cattle. I would have like maybe 15 on wood, 20 on wood, just to be able to produce buildings and have enough wood for whatever, like walls or towers. And then you want to have like 60 on gold, because you're basically producing all your units with gold now. Now, you do get way bigger spike in castle. Just kind of like with Burger Palace, you get way bigger spike with that landmark because you're just using gold. So the only thing you need is gold to produce units and you're good to go. You can overwhelm your opponent with units and it's very, very strong. The problem is 60 workers on gold will mine out the gold very quickly on your side of the map. So yes, in the late game you will get free gold with the pit mines. But if you mine out all your gold and then you have a landmark that uses gold for your units, you will need to transition to food, and that landmark kind of becomes useless because you're also going to need gold for other things. So that landmark is more like a landmark that you want to win in castle, or at least win before the gold in the map expires. Otherwise, you will just starve for gold completely. So both styles are viable, right? It also depends what situation you're in. Maybe you're getting attacked, you got like 2k gold stacked up. Going that landmark and building units with gold to kind of get yourself out of the mess is not a bad idea. But yeah, there's obviously, like I said, there's options, and I think that's very, very cool. On the other side, if you go for the cattle, you get, like I said, 960 food per minute, which allows you to maybe even have less villagers in the late game, like 100-ish, compared to other civs that have 130 plus, so you have more space for army. And then age 4 landmarks, they're not insane. One of them I think is better than the other. So the one landmark is a keep, and what it does is it makes all your infantry that passes next to that keep, let's say this is that keep, every infantry that passes around this area will get stealthed for 10 seconds. Like I said, stealth maybe gets buffed in the future, but right now it's pretty underwhelming the way it works. And also gives your units that attack out of from stealth bonus damage called First Strike. So your Musafari Warriors and your, what are they called? Musafari Gunners, which are the hand cannoneers for Malians, they get very high bonus damage, like something ridiculous, like Musafari Gunners go from like, let's say 20 damage to like plus 35 from stealth. So it's quite a lot of damage, but the problem is it's very hard to use the stealth because you get revealed by scouts or towers or TCs, which there's always one of them on the map, so you can't really stealth to anywhere. Now, the other landmark in Imperial is, you might know this mechanic from a game called Northgard if you played it. You can throw down a feast. And the feast, there's 3 different ones. They cost 300 gold each. And they have like a 1.5 minute cooldown. So the first feast increases your food income by 50%. Including cattle. I'm not sure if they affect fishing boats, but I'm pretty sure they do. It would make sense because it's just food income. Or food gathering rate, sorry. So I'm pretty sure it includes fishing ships. It includes like gathering from sheep, berries, farms, whatever. So that's the feast number 1, which, you know, in Imperial, do you really need food? You know, kind of meh. Second one is kind of cool, a little bit better. It increases the production out of all your buildings by 50%. So it lasts 30 seconds, by the way. All the feasts last 30 seconds. So that one's okay if you need to get a lot of units out or a lot of siege out or something. Not bad. And then the last one is probably the best one, and it's the most fun one to use. And what it does is it increases your torch damage for melee units and your siege damage by 100%, I think. I think it's by 100%. So what you can do in the late game, you can go mass scout. See where I'm going with this? You can make about 60 scouts or 70 scouts and use them as fire lancers. And basically you can go and snipe your enemy's landmarks, and as you're on top of their buildings, you pop the feast and the torch damage will get increased by 100%. So you can actually just snipe their landmarks with it. Right now I'm using the feast one because I think it has more use. The other one is, like I said, it's just kind of the keep. The stealth is kind of meh right now. Do they have Elite Warrior Scout? Yes, they do. The Elite Warrior Scouts, like I mentioned earlier, do bonus damage against ranged units. So they're very good. And I think they get about 200 health total with all the upgrades. So yeah, that is it. I don't think there's anything else to cover with Malians. I think I've covered everything. Their buildings look cool. Their walls look more unique, by the way. They have like red kind of walls, like clay kind of looking walls, which is really, really cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I don't think so. So yeah, the advantage of Malians is you get free gold, you can make cattle, you can, if you're fighting in Feudal, you don't need to mine gold, you can just get passive gold to get all the upgrades done. This landmark, you can use it in the late game on stone if you need stone to make keeps, so that's something to remember as well. And yeah, I think it's a really cool civ. I think right now it is probably, if we were playing it in tournaments and stuff, it would probably be a top three civ at least, maybe even top 2. First being Rus, of course. They're really, really good, and the fact that it's only been out for a week and it's already strong only makes me think that as time passes, you know, get even stronger when people figure out even better timings or even better use for their units. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this Malian guide. I hope it helps you in your ladder games, you know, to get started. Hopefully you know a little bit more so you don't have to struggle with build order, like, oh, what do I do? Do I go this? Do I go that? Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a direction, you learn something new. And like I said, once the Ottomans and Malians are released live, I will be doing everything you need to know about Malians, for all the tricks, tips, and explaining all their civ bonuses and units and everything else. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out the other guides that I have. There's a guides and tutorials playlist that has guides for every civ, for everything you gotta know. If you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.